you that you're coming for credit, and hopefully this will justify you.
For another buyer.
Well, this is an important topic, as you all appreciate. Those of you that have been in business and have worked with buyers, the biggest challenge, or at least one of the biggest challenge, is that buyers ditch us, and we think that buyers are liars. And there are books written about this, that buyers kind of, we serve them, we go out with them, we drive them around the town, and then at the end of the week or end of the month they try to not work with us. I look at this from a little bit of a different perspective. Although there are tons of people that believe that buyers are not loyal, but I think there is something wrong with us when buyers want to work with us. And I think once we go through this presentation, you might get an idea or two, or a tip or two, that you might see why people want to not work with us. Of course, there are people that they simply want to waste your time. There are people like that, but generally people have better things to do than to come out with a real estate agent and go around and look at the houses. They have generally people have better things to do. So today, for some of you that is an experienced agent, we will go through some of the basics. But as they say, even no matter how experienced you are, going back to the basics always helps. I mean, in any aspect of real estate, going back to basics always helps, to go and do some of the basic things that we ignore when we get too busy. But if you're brand new, this will be like really helpful, because I walk you through a step-by-step how to work with buyers. I have a disclosure in almost every session that I conduct, even on TV. I tell my audience that this is what worked for me, and this matches my personality. This aligns with my goals. It may not necessarily work for you, but at least I will share with you what worked for me. And I will tell you what do I mean by personal alignment. For example, I am kind of a person that if I have been given an opportunity to meet someone face to face and spend some time, I think I can make him a client. If not him, someone related to him. That is my personality. But there are other personalities that they might think, you know what, I don't want to waste my time. I want to pre-qualify all the buyers before I meet them. And I'm very strict and rigid. I show them houses, they either buy or not buy, or either rent or not rent, and I move on. So my personality is more of a socializing, networking. If they don't buy from me, I'm not going to get upset. So it depends. This is kind of matching with and aligning with my personality, and it may not necessarily be the best option for everyone. So as I said, at least I share what worked for me. And I will tell you some of the life stories that I worked with buyers, because when we start, most of us, we start with buyers in this business, and that's why that is the area of real estate that we don't have too much experience working with any type of client. So we make lots of mistakes, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I will share those mistakes with you, so that hopefully we will all learn from those mistakes. Is that good? So we can go ahead. So like anything else in real estate, working with buyer is a step-by-step process, and we will go through those steps. The first and the most important one is building relationships. Okay. I have said this many times if you have attended my previous sessions, and I'm going to repeat this. Unfortunately, most agents, as soon as they receive a phone call, they just jump into their car and say, where should I show you? That is not how this works. The other side, the buyer, will right away think that you're desperate and you have nothing to do, you have no money, you have a lot of time on your hand. That's why you're available right away, and more importantly, you're not professional. You will lose their confidence in you right away if you show that you're available. Okay, so you want to follow this process before showing them houses, even if they are in close relationship with you, because if you show that you're available, they will kind of already make judgments in their mind that you are somebody that will not serve their interests. Okay? So the initial meeting. So what I would ideally do is that I will call my prospects that are thinking of buying. So this prospect could be coming from a newspaper advertisement, it could be coming from a referral, it could be coming from your contacts, it could be a friend, it could be from your email campaign. Those are the options that we discussed throughout the year. But whatever source of prospect is coming, you want to ideally meet them in the office. And why is that? Because the general consumer thinks that you are a one-man show. You want to show that you are part of a bigger team. You have office, you have receptionist, you have manager. You are part of a bigger picture. It is very important to create that image in their mind. So ideally, if they can come to your office, that is the best option. And I think this was one of the main reasons that I used to have an office in Markville Mall in Markham, and I moved it here because this is more central for my agents, and people can come from across the city. And we are opening 2 more locations by end of next month in Markham and Oshawa, and we are thinking of a couple of other locations. But ideally, you want them to come to your office. It is about creating the image in their mind, and you want to show that you're part of a bigger picture. Of course, if they cannot make it here, I mean, the other option is Starbucks and Tim Hortons or wherever they prefer, but ideally you want to meet them at the office. Now when they come here, some of us, and again this is your personality, some of us would prefer to prepare a form, a basic form of questionnaires of what they are looking for. So for example, how many bedrooms, what location, so some of the basic things that we will go through. Some of us, like me, I prefer to go with the flow of the conversation. Whichever you two, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Go ahead. Yes, hi Adam, have a seat. Good. So, no problem. So it depends on your personality. You might want to go with the flow of the conversation, or you want to prepare a questionnaire form. But at least you should have these questions at the back of your mind. Some of the important questions that we will discuss. The most important one is location and budget. And the rest of it, of course, is the details. One of the things that you have to figure out in this initial meeting is the issue of what is their needs and what is their wants. This is very important. So they might want the whole world with their 300,000, which you cannot get. They want the detached house in Richmond Hill, right close to Young Subway or whatever, Young Transit line. This is what they want, but then you kind of want to get them down exactly what is their need, because they will not buy the house with you. They will meet their criteria, their basic criteria. So it is your duty as a salesperson to figure out what is their want and what is their need. And that's why this meeting is so important. So when you go through this, at the end of this, and I will give you some of the ideas how to figure out what is their need, but you want to say what is important for you. For example, a family might come to you and say, for me it is important that my kid is close to a French school, for example, and you know that is their need. Or for me it is very important that the basement should be finished with a separate entrance because I want to have an additional income. Whatever their need is, you have to figure out what their need is, and then the rest of it might be wants, right? And you guys understand the difference, and it is important to figure out. So initial meeting. Now I have a package for our agents, and it looks something like this, and we change the picture. The rest of the package is similar. Your questionnaire, if you have or whatever, this shows that this is your package, and you leave them this package, and we will discuss what else goes inside this package. But basically this package shows that why they should work with you and more importantly, you're part of a bigger team. You're not just one-man show. This is not just a salesperson. There is a group of people, team of people behind you trying to make this whole transaction happen. From showing appointments to coordinating with the lawyer's office to booking appointments and everything in between, there are people behind you. Okay? So yeah, we discussed about this need. I think the most important after their budget is what kind of location they're looking for. It is very important. For most buyer, location and neighborhood is important. Some people move to an area because of their kids and the school is ranked the top 10 or something. Some people move to an area because it is close to their in-laws, and that is rare because nobody likes their in-laws, but some do, and they might. So, or some might want to be close to their sister or something. They love their sister, right? And I think it is also about the lifestyle. Some people want to be in an older neighborhood because they want to walk around. They like the charm of older trees. They like the neighborhood that is not all uniform, one kind of cookie cutter houses. Some people don't care. They want a bigger house. So these are all the criteria that you have to figure out what they're looking for. For some people that's commuting every day to downtown Toronto. Hi, good morning. You can have a seat here, I think. For some people, maybe transportation system or close to transportation system is important, right? And those are the questionnaire that you have to figure out. And about the price, I think you have to keep in mind what the bank approves them may not necessarily be the amount that they can afford. So those are two different things, okay? Hi. Sometimes people work as, for example, taxi drivers. They don't have a lot of money to declare, or they don't declare, but they can afford $1 million home. So what the bank approves them and what they can afford are two different things that you have to keep in mind, and you have to talk, engage in a conversation, make them trust you, feel comfortable so that they can disclose some of things. Sometimes the bank might approve them for $1 million because they have a good income, but they have other expenses in life that they may not be able to afford that $1 million home. So that is how you figure out what is their needs and what is their wants. They will not buy a house based on their wants. They will buy a house based on their needs. It has to meet their basic criteria. And this is your job as a real estate agent to figure out in that first conversation. And I think, yeah, after the location and the price, of course, the rest of the details that they might have, the bedrooms and whatnot. You don't want to get too specific with buyers, because if you're too specific, you will eliminate a lot of the houses, especially if they're looking in a good neighborhood. The number of listings that come out on in MLS and stays in MLS for a while, then especially in a good and hot market, it will. If you're having too much specific criteria, you will be eliminating those things, right? So when I say engage in a conversation, you don't want to push it too much. You don't want to keep on asking a long list of questions, which some people prepare those buyer questionnaires that the whole page has to be filled. You don't want to go that detail, okay? Too much detail is not good. You want to just know what is their basic needs. And of course, building relationship takes time. I think this is a big debate in our industry right now. Whether buyer representation agreement or BRA came into place, I don't remember exactly how long, but I'm assuming here approximately 4 or 5 years ago. And the way our industry predicted that this should work and all the buyers should go online is still, it is not materializing. It is still not happening. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? There is an agency agreement called Buyer Representation Agreement, or BRA. Some of us in the industry believe that we can make them sign on that paper right away for a stranger. You know, strangers do not feel comfortable writing and signing something, even if it doesn't mean anything. The BRA doesn't mean much other than you representing them within a geographic location, right? But it's still, they're not paying you any money. It's still, there is quite few people, at least the ones that I worked, they do not feel much comfortable to sign, especially if they're a stranger and they do not know you, right? My approach to this is, I believe relationships take time, like any other relationship. Business relationship takes time, and you have to give yourself some time before signing that paper. This is my belief, and this is in contradiction to a lot of people in the industry. But this is from my experience. Remember, I had a disclosure what works for me. So I'm, as I said, I think if somebody signs on that piece of paper and if they don't want to work with you, they will not work with you. You cannot force people. This is it, right? And so there are so many people that sign on that document and they ditched the real estate agent and moved on to another real estate agent. And there is a lot of us that do not want to get into court and fight and go after them, right? So if they don't like you and if you're forcing upon them to sign that paper, in my opinion, at least again, this is strictly the way I believe, it's not worth it. You want to give that relationship some time. And I think there is another way to think about this. You have to ask yourself, are you so busy and you cannot afford maybe $20 or $50 to build that relationship, take them around at least for the first time, break the ice, build the relationship, and then sign that paper? You understand where I'm coming from? So do you have a lineup of so many buyers that you cannot afford your time to take this person out? Trust me, if they like you and if they don't want to buy, let's say they cannot afford or they're not in the market right now, they want to buy next year because they're getting married, they just want to get an idea. But if they like you, if they feel obligated because of your service, they will refer you someone. And again, this is a strictly experience talking. So you have to ask yourself, am I so busy that I cannot go out with this guy today, or I cannot afford that $20 or $30 or $50 gas, or maybe I should spend the time with him? I became, some of you that attended my previous sessions, I said this, I became the top rookie of my brokerage in my first year, and this was my way of working. I was working with buyers between everywhere from Oshawa to Oakville. Every day, I was a young guy around 20, I had nothing to do, so I was just taking people around. And you might say, did they all buy with you? Of course not. But did it help me to improve my communication skills? Of course it did. Did it help me to understand how to build relationships, how to not lose buyers, how to work with them? Of course it did. There are some of them buy with me, yes. That's why I became the top agent in my brokerage in my first year. So I'm not saying for you guys to go to that extreme, because I know you have family, you have other commitments. At that time, I didn't have anything else to do. I was just out of school and I wanted to do something. But what I'm trying to say here to make a point is that you should not restrict yourself with too much pre-qualification. This business is about building relationships. If people are giving you opportunity to meet them, you have a golden opportunity. Why not utilize that opportunity? Why not take advantage of it? Do you guys agree? Do you guys understand the difference of the opinion in our industry where I'm coming from? Right? Okay, so and of course, I think you have to do your return on investment. Maybe the $20 or the $50 or the $100 that you will spend on gas or using your car, the return if they buy with you is so huge. You're spending $100, but they might buy a house that your paycheck will be $10,000, right? And any intelligent businessman will invest that for that, the risk, take that risk for that very high return. That is thousands times return of the investment that you're putting in risk. This is strictly from business perspective, right? So why should you not take that risk? I asked this question before. Are you so busy that you do not want to entertain new clients and you do not want to take the opportunity to build relationship? Okay? And of course, I don't want you guys to go to the other extreme and kind of do everything for everybody. There is a balance for everything. I'm just trying to make a point here that try not to be very narrow-minded and too much focused on pre-qualifying. That's all I'm saying, okay? So, as I was saying at the beginning, I think this is a myth that we think buyers are liars. Most people have better things to do in their life. In this room, I'm sure we all have something to do today and something to do every day. We have kids, we have family, we have other better options to go and enjoy our life. So the same way, buyers are like human beings like us, right? They have better things in their life to do, most of them generally. Why should they waste their time coming out with you, bore themselves with you, go around and look at the houses, right? I mean, you have to think logically. Yes, there are some people that are time wasters, but we are talking generally here. So that is a big myth to think that buyers are liars. It is the problem is with us. They didn't see what they wanted to see in that real estate agent, and that's why they did not want to move forward with that agent. Okay? So maybe they were not treated properly, or your communication was not properly, and this is where the argument that we were discussing, whether they should sign that BRA or buyer representation agreement or not, is totally up to you. I'm not saying that you should not, should or should not, but I'm saying is that you should give it time, build the relationship, and then of course make them sign this. Okay? But this is a business strategy that you have to decide. I'm not going to tell you which option is better. If they're important, if they're treated that they feel that they're important, and they feel obligated for the services that you provide. This business is about service. If you provide professional service, they will feel obligated to sign that paper for you. But if they don't, if you make them sign right away, they will go home, tear it, and they call you and say, sorry, I changed my mind, I'm not buying anymore. You cannot do much about it. Okay, so any questions so far? This is the first step to build relationships. Any questions or maybe arguments or disagreements? Sure.
This is actually a question in regards to open houses.
Right.
I find I've had quite a few people falsify information.
Right.
And I understand you can't but what are any suggestions? Like,
There is a 2-hour session. How many of you attended that open session that was a couple of months ago? I do my open houses totally differently. I do not make them sign, well, I'm not doing it right now, but when I did, I do not make people sign when they come in. Because if they come in, it is all false information, their name, their phone number, and everything else they provide. I want to take the time and build the relationship and make them, and not even sign, I use another word, can you log into this guest book that I have at the end, after I build my relationship. And for that, there is a whole 2-hour session that you can find it online. So if you probably search my name with open house, it will come up. Of course, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And that's why you might be, if it is in a very hot and busy area, you want to get someone else's help so that you can accommodate more than one family if they walk in. But it is important to build the relationship before asking anybody to write anything. If they don't trust you, that's why, like, when I was doing open houses at the initial stages of my career, 9 out of 10 was wrong. Most of them was wrong. And then I changed my way, and I shared that on the session that I had a couple of weeks ago. It is totally different. At least half of it is a good number. Okay? So you have to do it differently, and it boils down to building the relationship first, make them feel obligated, impress them before ask something for them to sign or give their number or give their information. Okay, so selecting the right type of houses. So as you know, as I said at the beginning, we are walking you through step by step how to work with buyers, right? So first it was building relationship, and now you're trying to show them houses. You know, buyers, they think that you're a real estate agent and you know what they want. you can feel it. That's what they think, or they think that you should know what I want. Oops, I have to get a charger, but so yes, I have to ask my office to get the charger. Do you mind if you ask Nilo to? Sorry, thank you. Oh, sorry, actually it is here. My apologies. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. You know, when you have so many wires to take care of, thank you, then you forget some of these wires. Thank you so much. Thanks. So yes, one of the ways that we lose buyers is that we show them houses that they don't want. And I will explain, but I think so far what we discussed is it doesn't meet their needs. We think buyers are not loyal, but it is not their problem. It is our problem that we don't show them the right kind of houses. I will tell you my story. I showed, I had a client and I showed them like my basic number of, I will show is between 3 to 5, and that's a good number in one trip. So out of 5, almost all of them was crap houses. And at the end of the session, they kind of hinted towards me that I'm not experienced and I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I was young, so that's why they dared to tell me all those things, and that I'm not experienced, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know the area, I don't have access to good houses. So that's why they think that the houses are somewhat secret, and it is only you know which houses to show, and that's why you're limited. Your resources are limited, so we want to move on to another agent. And this is true still today with a lot of regular consumers. If you show them crap houses, they think that you don't have enough resources. They think that you don't know what you're doing. You don't have access to good houses that other good top agents have. They don't understand that these houses come on MLS and every agent has access to those houses. So that is the impression that they get, and then they ditch us, they move on to another agent, and then we think buyers are not loyal. It is our fault. And I will bring up so many other faults that is in us. That's why they're ditching us, okay? It is not buyer's fault. So yeah, you and her or you and him are not good fit, and so they will call you and say, you know what, we changed our mind, or for now we are going to rent. And then you will find out 2-3 months later that they closed on a house. Oh, we found a house, we signed the lease, right now is not a good time, the mortgage rates are maybe going down, so we want to wait a year. Or my in-law died back home, so we want to mourn for a year and we don't want to buy a house, or whatever the excuse might be. Right? So they will call you and they will ditch you, and that is the main reason. So you want to do your homework, and I will explain to you what do I mean by doing your homework. So you want to go and look at, remember we sat down with them and took their needs. You want to go and find out exactly which houses meet their needs, not their wants, their needs, okay? And on average, you should come up with, in an average area, I'm not talking in a very super hot area, but in an average neighborhood, you should come up with like 20 homes that meets their criteria, okay? And then from that 20 homes, you have to narrow down to the ones that are in excellent condition. Condition of the home, from outside, from inside, plays a huge role in someone buying a house. Okay, it is the first impression. This applies mostly to first-time buyers, and we are talking general here. I'm not talking about some people that buy for renovation and investment. Those are exceptions. I'm talking very general here. You want to find 20 homes that meets their criteria, not their wants, and then out of those 20, you want to select the ones that are really in good condition. They're renovated, they're upgraded, they're painted, they look good. People's brains are in their eyes. That's how they select the houses. They don't think logical. Buying a house is absolutely emotional action. So you want to push their emotional buttons. As I said, their brains are in their eyes. Remember that, not in their head. They are not thinking with their head when they buy a house. So you don't want to, for example, that was condition of the house, or you don't want to buy houses that have highway noise, or close to highway, or close to major street, or there is too much noise because there is a school nearby. All those things are negative factors. Why should you show those houses? It is not your listing. Who cares if that house sells or not? You want to show the best ones to your client to impress them. So they think you're informed, you know what you're doing, you have access to good houses, all those good impressions that you want to leave with them. Why should you show crap houses? There is no need. You don't have an obligation to show those houses, so why should you not eliminate them? Sure, go ahead.
I had an agent who had a client who could have bought a house anyway.
Okay.
And he bought a house next to the highway. And she asked him, "You buy this house next to the highway? I mean, you can buy a house anyway." Noise from the highway house. So it's an oxymoron. We think, everybody.
But those are exceptions. Yeah.
They want to be near the highway, so they need access.
Those are exceptions, and try to avoid those exceptions. And here is my reason. I come from a very close, connected community. When I used to serve my community, they used to have these warm party gatherings. And when people come and they see any negative thing in the house, and I will discuss about it, they say, "Who bought this house for you?" And your name will come up. So try to avoid those negative things with the house all the time, as much as possible. If they see a good location, everything is good about the house, they will say, "Who bought you this house?" Your name will come up and say, "Why don't you give me his number or her number?" That's how you get referral. So try to avoid crap houses all the time. Well, unless you're in an area that the buyer doesn't have too many options, there is only 2 listings, and you have to show those 2 listings. Those are exceptions. I'm talking general here, okay? We're all talking very general here, and there are exceptional buyers that they will buy. But I would not even show a house close to highway. Why should I? It will leave a negative impression of me, even if they like, and even if they can sleep with that noise. Well, unless they have a specific, like your client, that they can sleep with the noise of highway. Yeah, but unless something like that, an exception, I would rather eliminate totally those, because it will leave negative impression of me. Why did your agent buy this house? It doesn't have a good future. It will not be.
Unless he gives a reason why he bought it.
Of course, and they will say, "You know what? You will have a difficult time selling this house because this is only 2 bedrooms. Nobody buys a 2-bedroom house. Why did you buy this? Why did your agent did not consult with you?" Even if this was 100% their idea, 100% their decision, they don't want to look stupid. They want to make you look stupid. They want to do the blame game. That's how people are.
I remember a time when I sold the house and there was air traffic, okay?
Yeah.
Coming over my home. And I told him I didn't want to sell him the house.
Mhm.
And I said, "Why are you buying this house?" "A lot of air traffic, and I just want to let you know." Right? They bought it anyway because they bought it before.
Yeah.
Okay? And I sold the house, a couple years ago. And they obviously made money because they bought it last time. So sometimes.
Yeah, we're talking strictly leaving a positive impression.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, we want to do that every time.
Right.
It just depends on what it is.
That's right. So, yeah, you have a question? Okay, just stretching?
Yeah.
Just as long as you don't sleep. Yeah, because I will be insulted if you sleep. Right? So yes, if you show them bad houses, you will look stupid, you will look that you don't care, and you don't look experienced. Very confidently I'm making this statement.
This is never a solid state.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
I have one plan.
Yeah?
He wants all the houses and he put his name in the system. But I went for it first. This is
Right.
but he wants to do it. So the house. They have no obligation. They show the houses. They have negative impression. oh, I don't need. I said, already I told you this house is not much your needs. And after the two big that have on the house is more than 50,000 for the budget. What you can say, you can go and use that. And you want for the offer right away. Or you make a whole day, right away. Then after the offers come and next house you want to put the house in.
Yeah, I think, see, in a situation like that, you say you want to show that you're genuine. And I, like, honestly, if you are sincere and genuine, you will get better results. And I will tell some slides about that. You want to treat your clients as if you're buying this house for yourself or for your very close relative. This is how you should treat your clients. So let's say if they make a bad decision, you say, you know what, this house is here. Why don't I show you a couple of different options and let's compare? And then even after those couple of better options that you showed them, still they want to go ahead with this house that they have selected, then you say, you know what, I'm just telling you this is not a good option, this is not a good decision, but if you really want to this house, I'm just disclosing that I would not buy this house. And then of course it is their decision. Our job is not to make decision for them. Our job is just to disclose what we know. So having said that, try your best to treat your clients as if you're buying the house for yourself. That is the best way to put it. Will you buy that house or for your very close relative? Yeah. So, especially if you're new and you don't have experience, although some of this has been solved now because most of the houses now have pictures and virtual tours. Although those virtual tours, they make the room look so big and it is not as big as they show. And at the time of taking pictures, it looks so nice, but when you go walk in, kids' stuff is everywhere. It is not as nice as it shows in the picture, but it's still pictures somewhat help, and that's why I would say it is mandatory for you to have pictures when you list your property. But now we are talking about buyers.
Where I showed condos in the clients, and several of them in the building where it was listed as 2 bedrooms, it wasn't 2 bedrooms, so it was 1 full bedroom, and it was like
But then,
yeah. And it's upsetting because they're all like that.
yeah, that shows that they are not professional and they are not doing their proper due diligence. Yes. So anyways, coming back to this, so if you want to be really protected, let me make you let me share another way I look at with buyers, right? Buyers are not coming to you every day. Please do not treat them lightly. You want to treat, especially the ones that sign a buyer representation agreement, it means they are serious. So this is not your everyday routine. Try to put all your energy and focus on that buyer. Serve them well, treat them well, buy them the best option possible, and then move on with something else. The way we act as if buyers are coming every day and we take them lightly, and that's why they ditch us. If you go, and this slide, that's what it says, if you go and spend the time to look at the houses before you show it to your buyers or potential prospects, it is a good thing to do. It is worth spending, or according to you, maybe wasting that time, because you don't want to walk into a house and get disappointed and disappoint your buyer, and then they will ditch you, and don't complain that they are not loyal. You have to understand, when people make decisions, you have to go into their shoes and understand them. From their perspective, they don't know that there is a MLS system. They don't, I'm talking general again, they don't know that you have access to good, bad, and ugly, and good, and everything in between houses. They think if you're showing bad houses, you don't know what you're doing, right? So that's why you should do your job and look at those houses before you go there. So, I mean, if there are houses that has some bad features, you don't want to look at them. So out of those, remember we talked 20, and you narrowed down, let's say it's now 10 houses, you want to eliminate another 5 by just going before showing to your buyers. If you show them the best houses, they will be impressed, they will understand that you know what you're doing, and more importantly, you have access to good houses. I'm talking about general public, okay? That's why it is our service that will keep, we will keep them or not keep them. It depends how we serve them. And I think we kind of talked about this a little bit. If you show them ugly houses, they will lose their interest in buying houses, especially if this repeats a few times. They say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I either don't want to work with you, or there is no good house in market for me, so I just want to stop doing this. I don't want to do it. And then you come home and fight with your wife, or I don't know, whatever else you will do, and say, I lost a buyer today, it was a 10,000 commission check. I worked with him for 2 weeks. I took them between Mississauga and Brampton and Etobicoke, and they did not buy from me, so I'm so upset. These people are such a big liars, and so on and so forth. This is how you will treat yourself. This will damage you. It is your fault. It is not their fault. It is because you did not provide proper service. So now we are moving to step 3. Step 1 was to meet them. Step 2, to pick the right house. Okay, and you want to check before you go. Now, see, these are some, remember I said, even if you're experienced, some of these basic things for showing we have ignored, even if we are so long in business, and that's why we have lost buyers. These are some of the basic things. When you show houses, the least you can do is to drive around the location. If you cannot have the time to look at the property, at least drive around those properties. And the main reason is that you don't want to get lost when you're with your client. That is such a big embarrassment. If they are following you or if they are in your car, doesn't matter. If you're just making U-turn, trust me, no matter how confident person you are, because it happened to me, I know, I'm talking from experience, it brings down your confidence all the way really to the bottom. You feel so bad, you feel embarrassed, and you know that you're doing something that is not professional. You know that they will look down upon you because you're just making U-turns and you're not figuring out where this house is. You're supposed to be real estate agent of this neighborhood. You're supposed to know all this, right? And now some of us might say, you know what, I will rely on GPS. You know GPS can make mistakes. Sometimes you can write the streets that are similar name in the same area. For example, there is a main street in Markham on the 48th. I don't know if you guys know Markham, but there is also main street on Unionville. So there are so many similar names, and sometimes you make mistakes and you go through routes that you are not supposed to. You cannot find. You just go on the same street, and you know the number that we say, the house number on GPS, it doesn't precisely say stop here. You might move on, you might move back. There are so many things that could happen. So it is much better to go locate the house. You want to look professional. And more importantly, if you can bring them in your car, and if you can engage in a conversation, not to be worried about how to find this house, trust me, it will be easier for you to build that relationship. Because you're engaged in a conversation. It doesn't have to be about real estate or buying houses. It could be about their kids, about family, just to build that relationship. You want to make a new friend, right? And that's how they will feel obligated to buy from you, because there is some bond created between you and the prospect, right? So if you're in your car, instead of worrying where is this next house, if you're engaged in a conversation and you're driving comfortably, it will help you a lot in building that relationship. Yes? Right.
I usually I tell them to follow me, or if I'm by myself, you guys or something, or
Yeah, I see, and again, I'm going to give you my personal opinion. Of course, there is a difference between man and woman, and of course, it is possible that some unfortunate things might happen. But remember, media has exaggerated a lot of things for us, including this issue. I mean, every man is not bad and is not out there to do bad things. They might be simply looking for houses. And I think sometimes media break things out of proportion. There is 35,000 approximately agents that is working with buyers every day, and so there is tens of thousands of transactions happening every month and every year, out of those, yes, couple of incidents happen, but look at the volume. I mean, and everything else like that, the media, the way they portray about things is not as bad as we think, right? Like, for example, there is 5-6 million people living in Greater Toronto area, and there might be 5 or 6 gunshots and people die of those. Because it happens in the media, especially, unfortunately, they happen at the same time, we think that this city is not safe. This is the safest city on the face of the world. So, you know, sometimes, in my opinion, media says that, but it is your personal decision. I'm not here to say you should or should not do that. But for example, I feel comfortable to bring people. The other issue you have to consider is your insurance. If you are taking clients around, you have to disclose this to your insurance, and they have to know about it. If something unfortunate happens, and if you have not disclosed that these are your clients, because then they have to give you somewhat of a business insurance. So if you're taking people in your car, if they're your client, your insurance should know about it. Okay? So you might think that looking at condos is even easier, right? But those of you that have shown condos, you know that is even more difficult than showing houses. How many times we have been embarrassed going to the top floor, the key is missing, we don't know where the stairwell is, we walk all the way back down, and then it is somewhere at the front of backyard of something else, and then we go and search, and these clients are waiting in the hallway for us, and we have disappeared for 15 minutes. They're saying, what is going on? We are so embarrassed, we are running, we are sweating, we are all red and white, and they're looking at us and they say, what an idiot agent I have. I don't feel confident in him. He will not protect my interest. He cannot get me a good deal, so let me ditch him right away. Sometimes when they come down the elevator, they will say, you know what, I have an emergency call from my kid. I have to go to the school. I don't want to waste any time with you. I mean, they will say this in their head, right? So this is a reality, by the way. How many of you shown condos? I'm assuming all of us, right? And you know it is not easy to locate those keys, and so why should you not go and spend the time? This is a $10,000 check. Why do you want to look stupid in front of your client instead of spending half an hour or an hour or two just to go and preview and figure out where these lock boxes are? Because each condominium have different places. Some of them they don't allow in the stairwell. Some of them it has to be at the backyards. They have so many different locations. And then when you go to those lock boxes, there is lineup of so many lock boxes. You have to figure out which one is for the one that you want to show, right? So condos are not that easy that you might think. It is more difficult, so that's why it is more important to look at them. Yes, I made this. I mean, if you lose your credibility in front of your client, that's it. They will ditch you. Most of the time, do not blame buyers. It is us. Do you see why it is us, by the way? These are just some basic things that we do not follow. So, if I made you nervous, I hope so, because you have to take buyers seriously. Just imagine their $10,000 check, and if you are jeopardizing, and if you think this investment of time from you, a couple of hours, to do a more professional job, or a $20 or $50 more gas that you have to spend to do a proper and professional job, if you think that it's not worth it, then you're not in the right business, or your mindset is not in the right mindset. You have to think that the return on your investment is so high. It is 1,000 times of the money or amount of time that you spend with these folks. So why don't take them seriously? If you don't take them seriously, people have 33,000 different options that they can go to. Those are the number of agents on Toronto Real Estate Board, right? Okay, so good so far. Any questions? Okay, so we are showing them houses, and now the next step is to assess them. You have to gauge their responses. You want to know exactly what makes them happy. If they walk to this big living and dining room combined, and they say, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for, because some nights my in-laws and my mom get together and they fight in this place. So that's what I'm looking for. So let me have a big living and dining room combined. Then you know that is important. You constantly want to assist them, engage them, and exactly find out what they're looking for. So as an agent, you want to observe your client at the time of showing. Okay, this is what I'm saying. See what is important for them. They might have said what they need, but then you have to figure out exactly what is important. Is it that big master bedroom that is important? Is it that jacuzzi that is important for them? Is it the living room, dining room combined very important for them? Is it that finished basement with separate entrance important? Because they will have conversation either with you or with themselves, right? So you have to constantly gauge and then come back to office or go back home and see what is important and try to find houses that meet that criteria. And again, I cannot emphasize enough, go and see those houses even for the second time yourself before showing them. It is worth it for you. If you just show on average good properties that meets their criteria, in 3 times a buyer should buy a house from you. In 3 shows, right? If you don't do a good job, they will take a month to buy from you. It is your fault. It is not their fault. You will waste even more gas, more time, more frustration, and the risk of losing them. So this is what happens. When you take them for the first time, make them feel comfortable and relaxed. You say, this first time I have selected these houses based on our discussion. I just want to go and get an idea with you. Let's see if this is somewhat what you're looking for, right? So you want to make them as comfortable as possible in the first showing, in the first trip that you're going out, right? You say, this is what I came up with. Let's see if this is what you're looking for. And you will constantly look and observe and try to gauge their feedback on your first showing, because that first showing is important. They will not buy in that first showing, but you're making them feel comfortable, and more importantly for you to gauge them, right? So that is the main purpose of your first trip. So this is this doesn't have what I'm looking for, this is exactly what I'm looking for, but it is missing something that you want to gauge, or this is exactly what I'm meeting, but I want to see more options. So your first trip is just going and looking your options, right? Okay, this section is the last but the most important one. So before I get there, those of you that are watching me online, if you have any question, you can call office and the receptionist will bring me your questions, or if there is any question here, then otherwise we will move to this most important one. Okay, as I said, we are not making decisions. We are also just providing information. It is their decision. But this is a little bit different from what I said earlier. You don't want your emotions to make decision, or it seems that you are making the decision. I will give you a couple of examples, and you will understand what I'm trying to say and how your emotions will play role in this your emotions playing role. Okay, so basically, let me create a scenario for you. You have shown houses, and someone that you have shown 10 houses, 20 houses, they didn't like it, and then you think you found the perfect home that is within their budget, meets their criteria, is exactly what they're looking for. And you pick up the phone and say, hey, I found you the house that you're looking for. This is exactly what you are looking for. Come right away. Let's look at the house. We have to put an offer. This is the house that you don't want to miss. So this is what you will do, right? And as soon as you do this, she will just come in, walk into the house, and they will say, yeah, but this is not really exactly what I was looking for. In your mind, you will think that I have gauged and observed all the responses. Whatever she said on the paper, in our conversation, this is 100% exactly what she was looking for. Do you know why she will not consider this house? It is because of you.
You thought it, not them.
Yes, you want them to discover their house. The biggest mistakes that agents make. Nobody likes other people to make decisions for them. I'm talking about emotional decisions. Okay? So you don't want to push people. You don't want to show too much excitement. Okay? Yes, let's come. I found you a house. But then we will look at another couple of houses. You still want them to compare. Okay? You don't want them to make them feel that this is your decision, and that's why you get so frustrated. And most agents really get frustrated. I have been working with this client for past 1 month. I found them this. I was waiting for this house to come on the market. I showed them right away. I wanted them to put an offer right away. If you're experienced, you know what I'm talking about. It happened to you. I'm sure that you're experienced. So you will show them houses, and then they will come and say, yeah, but it is missing something. I don't feel really this is for me, because they don't have other logical reasoning to tell you that it meets the number of bedrooms, it has a finished basement, living dining room combined, it is within their budget, everything is perfect, it is close to their in-laws, everything is there, but they say, no, I don't feel this is my home. Right? Okay, another scenario. I mean, this is also common. You go out with, a couple wants to buy a house, and you show them a house. You're working, let's say, with a wife because the husband is too busy at work. You show them a house, and you both are looking at different houses, and then finally you find the one that really meets the criteria. This is it. So the wife is so excited, calls the husband at office and says, this is the guy receiving the call saying, the wife says, you know what, we found what we were looking for. Just leave your work, come right now, we have to look at this house. And then the agent is also excited. You can hear at the background saying that, yeah, tell your husband, this is the house, you have to come, we don't want to miss this, this is the only opportunity. And the guy is thinking, okay, let me come and look at the house. As soon as he walks in, says, you know what, this is not, you guys exaggerated, this is not what I was looking for. And then husband and wife gets into argument, and then they fight because the wife really is excited about this house. And then the husband says, no, this is not what I was looking for. And they go home, maybe in separate cars. You're happy you're not with them. You're not part of the argument, but you feel that this husband is such a jerk guy and he's so controlling freak that he's controlling his wife. It is not the case. It is, you know what is the problem?
You didn't show him together.
Exactly. Well, we will go a little bit more in detail, but that's part of it.
Wasn't part of the decision.
Exactly. He was not part of decision making. He thinks his wife is making the decision. Or it can apply to husband. This is an example of wife. It can be either or. It is in humans' nature that we don't want other people to make decision, even in our spouses. It is very natural. So you want to be very careful. These two scenarios are the biggest mistakes that most agents make. Okay? So you come home, they go home fighting, and you come home and you're frustrated. You might also fight with your wife because you lost another check, right? You should have asked me how many times. Okay, so of course most of you already answered this, that they have to discover the house for themselves, right? It is in our nature to resist to be told what to do. This is in our nature. I think for scenario one, it could also be because of jealousy. Of course, not necessarily the kind of jealousy that you're thinking. It might be, For example, the husband might think that you're with the wife, and if it is two ladies, maybe they're flirting with other guys, or if it is a guy and his wife, maybe they're enjoying their time and he's at home at office working. All those could play a role, but the main reason is because he was not part of the decision making. Okay, that is the main reason. These are not rational, logical reasons. These are all emotional. You guys understand this, right? It has nothing to, when we are working with buyers, except if it is investors, this is a different category. If we are working with buyers, it is all about emotions. From the type of home they select, the way they select, how they select, these are all emotions. It has nothing to do with numbers, investment, and all those things. Okay, so keep that in mind.
I could go back a little bit,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, just husband and wife, and you come and see this house. It's how you talk to the husband over the phone when regarding, honey, we saw this house, but we like this house, okay?
Yeah.
We would really like you to come and see it and find out if it meets out there good, rather than this is house, this is house, okay?
This is it.
Okay?
Yeah.
You gotta let him be engaged in the process, so if you don't, then he's gonna feel isolated and
Exactly. And I think the next few slides will explain exactly what you're trying to say, yeah.
Just to add to that, like with technology, like I had a situation where there were two tenants living together and looking for kids together, and one's working, one's off on vacation, and he was taking pictures and sending it,
Yeah, just to make them part of the process.
email technology,
Yeah.
texting,
I will do it a little bit differently, and I will tell you how I would do it, that husband-wife scenario. But basically, you want to keep your emotions away. This is not your house. You're just an agent. You're just providing information. You are an information provider. That's it. You're not decision maker, and your emotions should be totally away from this. Yes, this is a perfect. Yes, you would have bought this house, but let them make their decision. Otherwise, even if this is a perfect home, because of it, they will not buy it. This is how people are. I mean, you might think this is so childish, so irrational, whatever you might say, but this is the reality of our life, working with buyers, okay? This is how it is. So these are some of the solutions. Yeah, for the scenario one, we have already discussed that you should call and be calm, do not make it a big deal. Say, let's look at this house, and there are a couple of other houses we want to look. Remember scenario number one that we were excited, we called the buyer. You want to say, I found you a couple of houses or a few houses, let's look at it together. And this house that you're excited about, this will be part of it. Okay? So he doesn't feel that you're just showing that house and you want him to put an offer on that house right away. Okay? In scenario two, I would insist that the husband and wife should go for the first tour. Even so, I will schedule the appointment in a way that the husband is off, because that first time is important. He will feel he's part of the decision making. Okay? So you should insist that, you know what, for the first tour, it's important because you will have both people's idea too, because they will be sharing in that first tour. Remember, the first tour is about fishing, about gauging and observing to figure out what they're looking for. So the first time, not only because of that reason alone, but also because you want the husband or the other spouse to be part of the picture, you want to insist to schedule it according to the husband's or wife, whichever is not available, schedule. Okay? Very important. So the first time they should go together. And then after that, you will feel that, you know what, yes, I was part of the process, now I'm handing over the responsibility to my wife. This is how you will feel. We're talking about emotions here, right? So I was part of the process, now I'm handing over this responsibility to my wife. It is as opposed to the other scenario that from day one, these guys went out, looked at the houses, and now they want to make decision for me. Okay? Well, when they call, you already suggested this, that they should not be too emotional. They should say, yeah, we found a house, why don't you come out? We have a couple of other options with this house, we want to look at it, right? You want to kind of explain this to the wife, to be not overexcited. So you will feel that he is part of decision making. Especially man, I don't know why sometimes most men have stupid egos. I'm saying that very confidently because I'm a man, otherwise I would have not dared to say, but it is so irrational, stupid, childish. I think generally, I'm talking generally now, I hope nobody will arrest me for this, women are more mature than men. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yes, well, moving on to this other issue, I was trying to get at this, that keep in mind that whatever you say or whatever you do, at the end of the day, your commission should not be in your mind. As I said, this is as if you're buying the house for yourself. If you're genuine and you're sincere, you will gain more brownie points with your buyer. They will feel that they will start trusting you. Okay, people, remember, have sixth sense. If you're fake, if your commission is right up front all the time, if money is up front and you're just moving so you can get your commission as soon as possible, people can sense it easily. People have that sixth sense. So you want to be genuine, sincere, so that they can start trusting you and have confidence in you. Sure. Yeah, so I mean, if every time that paycheck is part of your, like, everything that you say, people will feel it, that you're there because of money. Right, and I see this is the statement I want us all to read. In a buyer's mind, it is not only the market knowledge and the expertise, but how confident they will feel in you. It is their feelings. It is not that you're the top agent, but how much you will protect their interests. Right? Genuinely, you're genuine, you're sincere, you're there to serve them, and as she was saying, legally we are obligated to protect our clients' interests because we are representing them. They gave us that decision, which houses to show, how to negotiate. Those are all in our hands. So if we are genuine, trust me, they will figure out that you're genuine. If you're not, and if you're faking it, they will figure out too. Okay? Yeah, so be honest with them and give your opinion of the things that you think. If there is any problem with the house, you want to disclose with them. I think we were talking about the highway example you brought earlier, and this slide is exactly about that. So when they start showing the house to their friends after closing, if there is any flaw in the house, they will say, you know what, I didn't buy this house, it was my agent. He kind of pushed me into this house. This was 100% their decision, but they have to blame somebody. An agent is the easiest target.
Can I give you one more scenario on that?
Sure. Yeah.
I've been in business for quite a while. I showed a house to a friend who, looking for a house in the area, and I'm showing him this house, and it was perfect. Everything was perfect. I said, you don't buy this house. And this is the sort of relationship we got on. He was with the police department. And I'm in this house, little cul-de-sac, okay, there's no homes, I mean, it doesn't get any better than a cul-de-sac in the back on the review. Yet, I know that highway right there. And I'm standing here and looking at this house and I'm going, why can't I do the highway? I know it's there. Why can't I do it? And it was for years that went by, okay, I'm trying to figure out why I couldn't do this highway. And one day, I went by the highway, coming by his house, okay, and I says, that's where Donnie lives, okay? And then I saw this embankment up the side of the highway, okay, and then the fence on top. Okay, I knew the fence was there, and I was giving it all for the fence, but there was an embankment going up like this, and the highway was down here. So the noise was actually hitting the embankment, going up over the fence, and the homes that were further away from
exactly.
were actually getting more
noise.
Home that was closer to the highway.
It's so right. That's a very technical. You guys understand what he's trying to say. Actually, you and I looked at the property like that, right? Yes.
Yeah, and it threw me off. I know the highway's there, but why can't I hear it?
Can you guys believe I did such an amazing job? He was my client, now he became an agent.
But he bought the house.
Okay, So yeah, I think before I let you go, this is a little bit different aspect of buyers. These are investors. With investors, there might be not too much emotions involved, as I was trying to say. They look at the numbers, they look at if this makes sense from their return on investment. So some of these rules that we are discussing may not necessarily apply to these guys, so that you understand. But if you're working with a regular buyer, especially first-time buyers that are inexperienced, you don't want to give your investor 2 cents to them. Let them make the decision. Necessarily suggest that they buy in a transition area. You know what do I mean by transition? The areas that are going through gentrification. It means right now it is not that good, but they're trying to make it a better neighborhood, right? Things might happen in that neighborhood and they will blame it on you, right? So you want to be careful if you are that kind of an agent that look at properties from investment perspective. Buyers, as I said, mostly don't care about investment. They want to live happily with their family, and they want to show off to their family and friends, and maybe in-laws, or necessarily to in-laws. They buy a bigger house and more expensive house. So so your priority is not to show them the investment, but the emotions. I think this is the end of our yeah, this is the last slide. So if you guys have any questions or clarification, let me know. Otherwise, I mean, most of you know, but those of you that don't know, we have these weekly sessions. Every week there is a different topic. Last week was CEO, and sorry you missed it. So I hope this was worth it for you coming.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, this is better than CEO, because CEO is meeting a technical criteria. This is to learn, and I think this is my way of thinking at seminars. If you're coming for 2 hours here, you might hear 99% of things that you have already know. It is that one point that can change your career. This is how I look at seminars. I pay hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars to go to some seminars. If I can learn one thing, I'm happy spending the whole day. So it's that one thing that might change your career. You don't have to, you know, the whole 2 hour doesn't necessarily have to be a new thing for you. It is one thing that's important that can change your career. So thank you guys for coming. You have to look at the website, homelifedreams.ca, and then you click on weekly training. Okay, see you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.